You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play.
And now, it's time for the show that breaks down the options market from unusual activity alerts to market analysis, strategy overviews, listener questions, and much more. If it involves puts and calls, then our all-star panel will break it down. It's time to hit the Option Block with your host, Mark Longo from the Options Insider Media Group, and co-hosts, Uncle Mike Tusaw from St. Charles Wealth Management, along with Andrew the Rock Lobster Giovinazzi from OptionFit.com. Old trading walks into a bar. New trading raises it. That's Tasty Trade. Keep focused with news feeds that matter. See opportunity differently in analysis mode. Chart your heart out with over 300 indicators. Plus, you can get low pricing, lots of education, and a support team that really gets how traders trade. It's no wonder Investopedia named Tasty Trade the best broker for options in 2024. Genius loves company. Go to tastytrade.com/podcasts and see for yourself. Tasty Trade Incorporated is a registered broker-dealer and member of FINRA, NFA, and SIPC. And now, get ready to hit the Option Block.
All right, everybody. That music means we are back. It is an eventful Monday on an eventful week out there in the markets, in the world. A lot going on out there today. My name, of course, Mark Longo from the Options Insider Radio Network. Your home now for 19 plus years of options podcast goodness. And of course, if you want to check out all the cool stuff going on beyond just the network itself, you want to join us for the prayer, you want to get your name in the hat to win the Feb crates going out soon. So you're not going to win that anymore. We have to announce the winner coming up this week on Options Bootcamp, but you can get your name in the hat for the March Pro Trading Crate. The optionsinsider.com/pro is the place to go to learn all about that as we learn who's joining us. For this Monday episode, we are joined once again by the Unklest of Mikes, Mr. Uncle Mike Tusaw from St. Charles Wealth Management, as well as by the rockingest of lobsters, Mr. Andrew Giovinazzi from OptionPit.com. I introduce them now because it is time, listeners, for the 80s Trivia Challenge. Here we go. We're gonna have a fun one today, because we'll do our regular question of the week from the 80s Trivia Challenge box, and then we have breaking news on the 80s wrestling front. How often can we say that in life? So we will have a bonus 80s wrestling trivia question. I'm just gonna tell you right now, Mr. Rock Lobster, you're probably not gonna get it, but you know what? It's too awesome to contain, so we have to address it on the show here today. But first, before we do that, by the way, we did check the scores, and as of right now, Andrew is leading 2 points to 1.5. So I will choose the category this week because I got so distracted by that breaking 80s wrestling trivia news that I didn't get a chance to put out a poll. Plus, there's other stuff going on in the market that's been taking up our poll time out there. So I am going to choose the category. I'm going to go science and nature again. Last week, we kind of had a bogus one, rice patties. That was pretty easy. We'll see if science and nature can deliver this week instead and make up for it. Gentlemen, what is the pure spirit distilled from wine? Who buzzed in? Oh, Andrew, you buzzed in. Okay, go ahead.
The spirit distilled from wine?
What is the pure spirit that is distilled from wine, sir?
It's a grappa.
That's not the answer they're looking for, no. But Mr. Uncle Mike, can you steal a pure spirit distilled from wine?
Can you repeat the question? I can't hear you.
Sure, let's go down. He'll turn this down for you. There we go. What is the pure spirit distilled from wine, sir?
The pure spirit distilled from wine?
Yes.
Alcohol.
Nope. Brandy. Brandy is what they were looking for there. No points.
That was my. I knew I blew it there.
Grappa is more like a regional. I see what you're going for. Those like liqueurs, like all that stuff. But every local region seems to have one of those, but not quite what they were looking for. No points for Brandy. But now, all right. Like I said, how often do we have breaking news on the 80s trivia? Let's turn this down now, because, in fact, we're going to swap it out because we have better music to play.
How did I not do distilled wine brandy?
I don't know, sir.
That was I know that. That's I went.
I don't drink wine, so that's.
I went with something more pure, like I don't know how brandy is pure. What anyway?
All right.
She's a fine girl.
Like I said, get your hands on the buzzers. Uncle Mike, you probably won't need much of a hand to get this one. But, like I said, there is breaking 80s wrestling news as of a few minutes ago. Ooh. The greatest tag team of all time. Undisputed, unquestioned. No one has ever questioned that fact. Except for the WWE themselves. They have not inducted them into the Hall of Fame. A black mark, if ever there was one, upon the soul of the WWE Hall of Fame. As of the show starting, The Undertaker announcing that black mark has been lifted. Uncle Mike, Andrew, if you want to chime in, you can. Uncle Mike, who is the greatest tag team of all time? Who just got inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame as of like 2 minutes ago?
Well, this is a guess in terms of the Hall of Fame induction. However, I will not acknowledge the greatest of all time.
No, that's also what we're doing. We're acknowledging both of those things together. That's part of the point.
Then I don't want the point. I refuse. So I will say the tag team that got inducted is the Demolition, but if it makes me have to acknowledge that they're the greatest of all time...
You do, yes.
Then I don't want the point.
Oh, okay. I was going to be for half a point, but no point for you. All right, Mr. Rock Lobster, can you steal? Hint, all you have to do is say Demolition is the greatest tag team of all time. Go ahead,
Demolition is the greatest tag team of all time.
All right, there we go.
Okay, this is rigged here.
For the Rock Lobster. For Demolition Hall of Fame, yes. That's all we were going for.
I'm not selling myself out. No way.
That's all we were going for. Very simple thing. A very simple thing.
Beating them every time they went head to head. Road Warriors are the greatest. We've settled this 3 times with audience.
It doesn't matter.
Too.
Longest running champs by like a country mile. I mean, no one even came close until like a few years ago.
Warriors beat them every time they went against
They had
them.
the belts forever. They're the best by far. Not even question.
No,
if you keep going,
the best.
Uncle Mike, if this keeps going, you might start losing points. So you better watch out. You better just keep your opinions to yourself. Rock Lobster has already trumped you in a breaking 80s wrestling
and he
trivia
got a
contest.
freebie on the brandy too.
Yes, he did. He did. So the Rock Lobster, wow, stunning turn of events.
I don't care. I'm not selling myself out. This contest is rigged.
Rock Lobster.
This is rigged.
A half point for 80s trivia. Can you believe it? On this mother of holidays, yes, the day that Demolition finally announced going into the Hall of Fame. The great wrong has been righted. Speaking of great wrongs, if you were not feeling a little bit of red in the market, your wrong has been righted as well. Let's get to it. It is time for the trading block.
It's time to break down the latest topics, trades, and trends in the world of options. It's time for the trading block.
I got so excited about that news, I smashed half of the studio, pun intended, out there by accident, as I put all of our music apparatus back together. Let's get out to the actual stuff lighting up the tape. Obviously, we have some fun at the start of the show here every Monday, but of course, things were looking not that fun over the weekend. We've been saying for a while now, listeners, that there is a quite literal weekend risk in this market. We saw the literal example of that playing out this weekend. It doesn't get more actual weekend risk than open war kicking off in the Middle East. Of course, it did kick off a few days earlier, Pakistan versus Afghanistan. No one really cared because they're not really oil-producing countries, but they did announce open war before then. So now technically we have 2 open wars going on in the Middle East right now. But of course, the latter involves the U.S. The latter is the one that a lot of people were watching for and hopefully not wanting to see come to fruition. It did come to fruition this weekend. We've been talking for a while. It was a subject, again, of Vol Views this past Friday. How to play that weekend risk. Russell has been workshopping. We've all been kind of workshopping various ways to play with UVIX over the weekend to try to speculate on or insure against these massive portfolio shocks that go on over the weekend when everything is closed. I will say I tried a different methodology. I talked about it on Options Oddities on Friday this weekend, where I ended up buying the UVIX again, but also overriding against it. And for a while there, I was regretting that. I thought maybe I got a little bit aggressive with the overwrite. It turns out, no, I didn't. That was the right way to go, because as of the start of the show, we were looking pretty firmly in the red not that long before showtime. But again, all you have to do is wait 5 minutes and announce that Demolition is going into the Hall of Fame. And all is apparently right with the ship. The S&P has now gone from red to green, listeners, up 0.1%. The NASDAQ was getting shellacked early on in the session. There's now up 0.4%. And Dow is getting close to unched itself, off 0.04%. VIX Cash, when we started the show, was at a 21, up about 1 point. It's at about a 20.85 now, so still up almost a full point. VVIX was at a 113, up 4 points from where it was this time last week. So a lot going on out there, and perhaps not the color you expected to kick off the show, and certainly not the one a lot of people were dreading or anticipating over the weekend as all this news was playing out. And the truth is, we have no idea how any of this is going to play out, clearly. And yet, so far, at least for right now, the playbook is to play this the way you have pretty much every other potential vol spike over the last 5+ years, which is fade the hell out of it as soon as humanly possible. All right, around the horn we go. Let's go out to the surprise winner of our 80s trivia challenge today, as well as getting no points for Brandy. Brandy, she's a fine girl, but apparently not to the Rock Lobster. Mr. Rock Lobster, sir, I won't ask you if you have any enduring memories of the greatest tag team of all time, because I know you do not. But what were your thoughts this weekend as all of this news was playing out? And I'm sure you were running through your heads, like a lot of people were, not just the ramifications geopolitically and everything else, but also, what does this mean for the market? It certainly looked pretty dire until it didn't, sir. Once again, fade the vol spike, at least in the early moments.
Yeah, I mean, we know that hell froze over because I got an 80s wrestling trivia question correct, even under suspect circumstances.
It was quite suspect. Uncle Mike choosing that rare moment to have a weird bit of integrity for whatever reason. I don't know why, but it cost him. It cost him dearly.
It did cost him. It did cost.
I hope this contest comes down to a half a point at the end of the year. That's all I'm saying.
It very well could. It very well.
I would gladly lose. That's a half point. That's a disgusting, vile point I will never accept.
In fact, if this keeps going, I might have to read the Repo Man, appropriately enough, those sweet LOD figures you have, sir. I'm just saying.
I was thinking, speaking of 80s trivia, November 9th, 1989. Does anybody remember what happened back then?
That was
first Survivor Series.
Was that 1 year before the Gobbledygooker and the Undertaker emerged?
I know. If I would have put it into no, that was the year the Berlin Wall fell.
Ah, yes.
I was thinking
that also happened that year. Yes, you are correct.
That is, yes, exactly. You have to put it into context, which was important. So I'm thinking, like, okay, you go back, we had all this weekend risk. Volatility has been going up since December 24th, actually. VIX has been steadily climbing for the last 2 months. Maybe somebody knew that this was all going to happen at some point. Maybe the Maduro thing was a warm-up for the Iran thing. Who knows? But at least for right now, like if you just look at stocks, I think in how the market is receiving this, I think it's gone as well as it could have. So now, who knows what talking heads say X and everything else. However, if it does work out, if funding for fundamentalism dries up in the Mideast, I think that could be a lasting peace dividend, let's say. Maybe the prices of oil is lower. It could have, I would say, positive effects for a long time to come. But it is still early. Although I have to say, a job I do not want is having an Ayatollah in front of my name and running Iran currently. I would have to say that would be the least desirable job on the planet. And for right now, the market seems to be taking it pretty well. A lot of traffic that goes through the Strait of Hormuz goes to China and India, which are Iran's big customers. So they can't very well cut off their own oil supply and their own revenue. So maybe some of this stuff was taken into account before all this happened. Again, it's hard to tell what's real, what's not real these days. But for right now, volatility, VIX is only up what I would call, a weekend effect amount as far as right now goes. And stocks are kind of holding firm, and we wait to see what happens. But, you always want to be hopeful and, and think positively. Although I have to admit, I was a bit surprised that it went down sort of like this. But, like we said like we said in 2016, this is not a single VIX president, even though we were quite wrong the first year. But after that, it has been probably one of the highest VIX presidencies, I think, that maybe on record. I wonder if we're going to have to make Russell crank some numbers out on that. But he might own the title after this year.
We shall. He already had the lowest in modern memory back last time. We'll see if he can go for the other side of the spectrum out there, listeners. As we go out now to the man who apparently refuses to admit the glaring truth that is right in front of his face. Mr. Uncle Mike, sir, what do you have to say for yourself? And what was going through your mind over the weekend as all this news was playing out? And what are your thoughts today as your arm is tired from all your buying?
Well, I have to put an asterisk by this. I actually have been preparing this statement for pretty much since the Iran thing happened. There's only two sources of news that are let me rephrase that. There's only three sources of news with which I can rely on. Number one, biblical prophecy. That's a topic for another day, but that's one source. Second source has an asterisk by it now, and I was going to say the Options Insider Radio Network, but now you have to just totally discount it when they just say false claims, like what was just said 5 minutes ago. When there is a black mark, if it's professional wrestling news, the Options Insider has clearly been tainted right now and does not acknowledge the facts that the Road Warriors have been in the Hall of Fame since 2011, and they are undefeated against the Demolition whenever they've gone head-to-head. But for market news, it's still the epitome of it. But with that, the other source of news that you can rely upon that actually will tell you the truth, that's unbiased, Fox is going to be biased towards Republicans, CNN is going to be biased towards Democrats, but the other source that I like to rely on is a chart of the S&P 500. That'll tell you if something economically is good news or bad news or don't know news. And I think this weekend really proved it. If you look at the futures that came out on Sunday night, I believe we were down roughly 150 points at one point. And markets have rallied back, so they've been up, they've been down. And I think what the market is telling us is that they don't know, the market doesn't know how this is going to play out as of yet. And at least in the short term. So is this going to be great news? Does this mean we're going to have great oil prices for everybody and that companies are going to prosper because of that? We don't know yet. Does this mean we're going to have a prolonged war and bad things are going to happen and it's going to be bad for the market? We don't know yet. And that's what the chart of the S&P over the course of the last 20 hours or so, because futures open at 5 o'clock on Sunday, are telling us at this stage. Now, a few things that are catching my eye today in terms of where we're at. Gold is about flat on the day, looking at GLD. Silver is down 5% on the day. So that's something with which to take a look at. Bonds, if you look at the treasuries, IEF, the 7 to 10-year treasury ETF, that's down 0.6% on the day. TLT, the long-term government treasury, is down 1% on the day. So we do have some down moves in the bonds to where the money is not flowing to bonds as a flight to safety, so to speak. Now, of course, the one thing that everybody should be looking at today in terms of where things are at, that is the slippery stuff. Looking at oil, that is up roughly 5% on the day. So that is where money is flowing right now with these market shifts at this stage. In terms of the sectors, no surprise, XLE, the energy sector, is up 1.5% on the day. And if you look at all the other sectors, we do have industrials up 0.75, technology up 0.5%, financials flat. But the big mover on the day to the upside is energy. And as always, the Russell doesn't give a crap. They're up 0.6% on the day. They just do whatever they want no matter what, even if we do have events like we had over the weekend. So a lot happening. And the thing that I want to emphasize from my findings or what I'm seeing over the weekend, you're going to see CNN say, oh, Trump didn't act right. He didn't get congressional approval, this, that, or the other. You're going to say Fox saying Trump is the greatest president in history. In terms of what's the truth from my take on it, based upon the weekend events, is twofold. One, we don't know yet. And two, the Options Insider has a black mark on their integrity when it comes to professional wrestling reporting.
Because we tell it like it is. You can't handle the truth, sir. It's like you came straight out of a Few Good Men, sir. You can't handle the truth. You are Jack Nicholson incarnate. Let's see what's incarnate out here in the market today, listeners. Is it a hot day? Is it a spicy day? You know, a war kicking off over the weekend usually tends to have that effect. But as of right now, as we're hanging out unched to slightly green in a lot of these products out here, you might be forgiven for expecting maybe less volume than you were thinking was going to be hitting the tape. As of this moment, right now, the VIX, though, is looking pretty spicy. And again, that's aside from oil, that's one of the first places people are going to look a day like today to see what's going on from a vol perspective. The answer is 672,000 contracts hitting the tape out there today, listeners. A decently active day out there, all things considered so far. The ADV is 931, so getting back within spitting distance of that all-important 1 million contract threshold that I've talked about many times on vol views. And when we're close to that, you really need to sit up and pay attention. The game is afoot out there in the markets. So what's lighting up the tape out there today in VIX land? You'd be forgiven for expecting some upside, and that is the case. The big dog out there, nearly 40,000, about 39,000 of the March 22 calls. Average price for these bad boys right now looks like it's about $1.80. So it's up to you folks. You a buyer? Would you sell these bad boys? Tell you what, our producers are on the ball. They've already put out a flash poll. You folks are already voting in it as we speak right now. Quite simply, $1.80 for those March 22s. Buyer sold to you, or are you perhaps on the vol sidelines right now playing the wait and see game? The answer right now in the first 5 or 10 minutes of voting is 60% of you want to buy those bad boys for $1.80. You want a little vol upside in your back pocket for the next few weeks. I can't say I blame you. 20% are saying sold to you. Also can't say I blame you, given the fact that we've had just about every vol spike, and again, playing out today so far, has had a lifespan measured in minutes. And then, of course, those of you sitting on the vol sidelines also can't blame you, because a lot of this action out here kind of wild. Speaking of action, let's just break down the rest of the top 5 right now. In an interesting start to the trading day on the vol front, 37,000 of the 16 half puts going up today as well. These are going up for an average price of about 10 to 11 cents. If you're wondering what's a nibble on that 16 half strike cost you right now, that's the going rate, about a dime. 30,000 of the April 25s. Those are going for $2.10. So if you're wondering, you want a little bit more time to work than just the March 22s, and you're willing to give up a few more strikes to do it, well then, April 25s for a little bit over $2 might be in your wheelhouse. Number 4, 27,000 of the March 30s. Those going up for 85 cents today. Number 5, splitting the uprights, 27,000 of the March 27s, listeners. Average price for these, a little over $1, about $1.06. So you got an embarrassment of riches on the VIX upside front today. Any of those tickle your fancy, listeners? As we get on out to spy land, looks like a lot of contracts are tickling the fancy of SPY traders right now. And if we go look, I'm sure 70% of those probably are hanging out in the 0-day contracts. Right now, a lot of flow going back and forth, 7.35 million contracts. Again, it's another one of these whipsaw days, listeners. So in these whipsaw days, we see a lot of flow. By the way, the big dog right now in SPY, the 687s, the pretty much close to at the money strike, have gone up 280,000 times today. Average price 66 cents. Right now, gun to your head, buy them or sell them. Which way you going, listeners? A lot of folks are slinging those today. Total going up in SPY land right now, 7.35 million contracts hitting the tape. That is a heck of a lot of flow for this time in the show. The ADV a little bit north of 10.1 million. So seems like they're on pace to hit that unless things really fall out of bed. And of course, we are 20 for 20. All 0-day, all the time. Ain't got no time for a contract that doesn't expire today, listeners. How many triple negatives can I squeeze into that sentence? But let's go out to the S. Let's see if the same game is afoot in the S. The answer in one way is yes. It is a very active day. 3.15 million contracts changing hands already. The hot strike, the hot contract in the S, though, a little bit different. About 100,000 of the 6,900s. The pars going in the other direction. We were just talking about the 687 calls in SPY. It's the 690s effectively in the S, 6,900 calls going up out there. So kind of interesting, about 100,000 of those. Also interesting, it's not 100% 0-day out there today. Looks like it might be some vertical action. It's DEES 8160s and DEES 8200s, both trading about 30,000 times out there today. So again, interesting stuff. Looks like the 8160s are opening and the 8200s might be closing. So is someone rolling the 8200s down to the 8160s out there today? Either way, hey, you do you out there, person. But there are two D strikes breaking into the top 20 most active in the S out there today. Small caps, as Uncle Mike alluded to already, they just do their own thing. Today, they're up 0.75%, putting up 1.65 million contracts. Their ADV is only 1.95 million. So spoiler alert, they're going to hit that out there today, listeners. Again, just another banger out there today. And let's not forget about our old friends, the Qs. The Qs, about 3.75 million contracts already. So pretty decent volume, not quite as explosive as it was late last week when we were seeing some of these really rock'em sock'em robots numbers well north of 4 million contracts at this point of the show out there. The ADV 5.75. So they seem like they're on track to hit that, unless, again, the second half of this session could very well peter out, given what we're seeing out here today, listeners. Again, interesting stuff. If you're wondering, it's not all 0-day all the time in the Qs today as well. We have the 595 puts and the 575 puts in March, but expiring on the 13th. So not today, and indeed not this week, but next Friday. Looks like it might be a vertical, trading about 56,000 times. So right now the Q's hanging out right around 608. So you like that, listeners? 595, 575 put spread, obviously a 20 handle put spread going up about 56,000 times out there, listeners. Looks like for prices somewhere in the ballpark of $5. So perhaps you like that. Either way, that's the only non-0-day contract invading the top 20 in the Qs today. Speaking of invading top lists, let's go out to the single name most actives out there today. Is it a banger day out there, or is another one of those days where everyone's so macro fixated they don't have any time really for the little folks out here, these single name guys, even though they're not that little anymore? They're putting up index volume, some of these big names. The answer is, looks like it's trending a little bit towards the forgotten. Only cost you 316,000 contracts to break into the top 10 today. So that's not even at our threshold for respectability today. That gets us to our old pal, the artist formerly known as Facebook. Yep, it's Meta. Meta, let's see, bucking the trend and rallying today, trading 656 in the third right now, up about $8.20 or 1.25%. That's our number 10 spot. Number 9, our old pal AMDA. Someone forgot to tell them that the turnaround is in, because they are still off nearly $3.50 or 1.75%, trading right around 196.75 right now. Good for the number 9 spot. This name has been all over the place so far this year, and that apparently continues today. A number 8 looks like this is our lone newcomer breaking into the top 10 right now. It's Ondas, ticker symbol ONDS. We have talked about them before, but it has been quite some time. Trading 10 3/4 right now, up about 65 cents or 6.35%. If you're wondering, this is a defense manufacturer. Anything defense, obviously getting a bit of a lift out there today, even if they have retreated off their highs. They got as high as $12.42 right out of the gate today. So they were looking a lot hotter earlier in the session. In fact, they're getting close to unch now. They're only up. They opened at 10.5 bucks. So actually they're up about, looks like about 22 cents right now, 10.72. So weird stuff out here in everyone's maybe new favorite, Ondas. Are you in on this? Did you get caught up in perhaps this wild spike? Looks like they got a strategic investment going here as well. So a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B, lifting this name as we keep climbing to the number 7 spot. This name has a hard time catching a bid, but it's got some green on the screen today. Trading right around the power strike. It's our old buddy, Mr. Softy, up a little over $7 or about 1.8%. Again, trading just a few cents shy of $400 right now. But Microsoft Bulls will take any green they can get so far this year. Number 6, the Amazonians, they continue to look in the red, off about 1 1/4, trading 208 3/4. They got as low as 203 and about a half this morning, though. So obviously rallying over $5 from that nadir earlier this morning. Number 4, it's the fruit company. You know they're green because everything else is going green. How can the fruit company not be green? They took it down as low as about 260, right around 260 1/4 this morning, and they have since been rallying. It is trading 265 1/4 right now, putting up 530,000 contracts for the number 5 spot. Number 4, Uncle Mike's favorite name. I think he said all of his personal assets are invested 100% into this. What is it? It's Palantir, popping today, up $9, trading 146 1/4. And it looks like, unlike a lot of the other names, this one kind of shooting straight up. Obviously, Palantir has a lot of things working in its favor on a day like today. It's not just an AI name, but obviously heavily ingrained in defense as well. So they're getting that rising defense tide is certainly lifting them out there today. So no sell-off for them today. Firmly in the green all session. Number 4, 620 on the tape for them. Number 3, Netflix. This saga has been ongoing for months now. Seems like it is drawing to a conclusion, and probably not the conclusion a lot of people guessed just, let's say, earlier this week or a few weeks ago. A good old Netflix rallying another about $0.75 today, trading right around $97 today. So wild stuff out there in Netflix. Yet again, 621,000 contracts on the tape. Interesting that with everything else going on in the market today, Netflix is still number 3. That's kind of wild. Number 2, it's good old Tesla. What's going on? They are flirting with the power strike yet again. $400.70, off about $1.80 today. They did get lower. They opened up, looks like down around the 388 level. So they were below the power strike, have since rallied above it. Now look like they're threatening to go back the other way. We shall see. Other way, number 2, 1 3/4, and number 1, you know what it is. It's the big dog. It's NVIDIA, looking a lot bigger today, up a little over $5 or about 3%, trading 182 1/3 today. And unlike a lot of the other names out there in the Mag 10 today, they opened up strong and never really looked back today. So NVIDIA saying uncertainty. What uncertainty? We're fully green out there today. If you want to dive deep into some more earnings, listeners, we got that for you this week. Best Buy popping off on Tuesday before the bell, as well as Target. So if you want various sides of the retail spectrum, they got you covered on Tuesday. Today, after the bell, a name I know more than a few of you are intrigued by, our old buddy Asts, a.k.a. Asts Space Mobiles. By the way, if you're wondering, trading $84.50, up $5.40, or 6.8%. And year to date, they're actually only up about $1. That's kind of interesting. Over the past year, though, they're obviously up size, up $59 or 230%. So Asts Space Mobile's been on quite the rampage. Will that continue after the bell today? I guess we'll find out. We've got Rigetti, another formerly hot name. Are they going to be hot again? They're popping off after the bell on Wednesday, as well as Broadcom. So still a lot of big names popping off, as well as Uncle Mike's preferred dining destination, Cracker Barrel. Thursday after the bell. We've got Costco popping off, as well as Marvell, and everyone's favorite Audio Eye and Uncle Mike's favorite clothing destination, Burlington. Used to be Coat Factory, now just Burlington. I guess Burlington is trendier. And all kinds of other stuff popping off this week. So still a lot of big names to go. Speaking of going, AVGO popping off before the bell on Tuesday as well. So no matter what you're into out here, there's something popping off that can catch your eye. Norwegian Cruise Lines was before the bell today. So a lot of things popping off out there in the market today. If you want to check out all of this stuff, head on over to the website, theoptionsinsider.com. Let's look really quickly. Norwegian, like I said, was popping off before the bell. Travel industry, airlines definitely coming under pressure as a result, obviously, of their chief input costs going up. But cruise lines also an interesting one to watch in this market right now. Norwegian was before the bell, ticker symbol NCLH, listeners. They were at 24 3/4 going into their announcement. They were pricing in 7.4%. And as of this report, they had outpaced that straddle. They were down nearly 11%. They're off about 9.5% now. So they're still outpacing that straddle. Obviously, the expanding prospects of a conflict on top of other things kind of weighing on that sector out there right now. Listeners, let's look really quickly, see if you see any other interesting names popping off before the bell. We have talked about Sealed Air Corp, this cryovac food packaging. We talked about them. They're in the middle of a takeover, I do believe. We have talked about them on Oddities. And so that takeover kind of muting some of their earnings announcement out here. But ticker symbol CSEE, that one popping off today as well. Looking down the road a little bit, let's go to our old buddy Stone Cold. They are today after the bell as well. How did I miss this one? Stone Cold popping off today. They were at $16.80 when we ran this report. They were pricing in $1.66. In the past, they moved $1.29. So Stone Cold feeling a little bit juicier out there. In fact, as I bring them up right now, they're trading 17 1/4. So they're looking even juicier going into their announcement. Are you down with a little bit of Stone Cold? Are you trading this one, listeners? Very appropriate on the day when we're talking a little bit of wrestling to kick off the show. That Stone Cold, not an 80s guy, but still beloved for a certain segment of the fan base. I mean, obviously not as cool as Demolition, but what can be. Let's go out to Best Buy. Like I said, they're popping off before the bell on Tuesday. They were pricing about $62 going into their announcement. They were pricing in 5 1/4. In the past, they've moved $3.79. So they're pricing in a wee bit of extra juice out there in Best Buy. Is that merited? Interesting. People have been calling for the death of Best Buy for as long as I can remember, pretty much. So is this another quarter? Were they calling for that? Or we shall see. I'll have to go investigate my own numbers on the own website, see what's cooking off over there in Best Buy. Perhaps there are some trades afoot. Also, let's check out Target really quickly, the third before the bell as well. Again, kind of a bit of a retail heavy day out there. 113 3/4 is where they were when we ran this report. They have sold off nearly $1 since then, right down to about 113 right now, a little bit shy of that. They were pricing in about 9 1/4. In the past, they've moved about $9. So they're kind of right in line with their previous moves, which again, kind of interesting out there. I know Target's had some issues of late as well, but Walmart is putting out pretty strong numbers of late. So perhaps Target can do something similar out there. Again, all this data available for you on the website, The Options Insider. Let's do one more. Let's do Costco. Fifth after the bell, more of a specialty wholesaler than a retailer, but nonetheless, they were trading a little over $1,000 as of this report, $1,010 to be precise. They were pricing in about $34. In the past, they've moved $29.5. So $4.5 worth of extra juice. Is that merited, listeners? Or is that too much juice for Costco? They've sold off a little bit since then. They're trading $1,005.5 right now. So come in a little bit since this report, but maybe this one floats your boat, even though I know for a lot of you writing puts or trading options on a $1,000 stock gets a little bit onerous out there, but we shall keep an eye on this one. Speaking of keep an eye on things, well, really quickly, the season right now hanging out at 133%, so it is still a certified banger, even if week 5 was a little bit of a reprieve, only 99% return, so the lone red week of the cycle, at least so far, listeners. And our long-term average hanging out 102%. But now it's time for us to hang out in the odd block.
It's time to break down the most interesting, unusual, and downright questionable options activity that's been identified by theoptionsinsider.com. It's time for the Odd Block.
All right, everybody, let's get weird. Let's get wild. Let's get out, doesn't get any weirder, or perhaps, dare I say it, wilder than everyone's beloved Nokia, or as the Finns call it, I believe Nokia, something along those lines. A ticker symbol NOK, trading $8.32 right now, up 60 cents out there. Mobile World Congress is going on right now, an international mobile and cell phone show, effectively. So it looks like some announcements coming out of there that are driving Nokia up north a little bit. On the year, it's actually been a pretty strong year for Nokia. They're up $3.30, or about 66%. So again, you can't get mad at that. And from their nadir of last year, right around $4, they're pretty much have doubled. And that nadir came in August, not in April, which is also interesting. But a lot of flow going up out there today in Nokia. Obviously, this Mobile World Congress is driving a lot of action. They're doing a little over 4 times their ADV in a variety of strikes, but one that caught our eye, Mr. Rock Lobster, going out a little bit here. Somebody coming in this morning and saying June 10th, June 10 calls, how are they? They got 87 cents at 96. I said, you know what, good sir, I will pay 95 cents. 7,500 times. This scoop, by your initial metrics, Mr. Rock Lobster, is looking pretty good. They scooped these when the stock was $7.89. As I said, it's hanging out right now, $8.30. So you can't get mad having 40 cents in your back pocket to work for your options trade. Now, you have to wait a little bit if you want some earnings. You have to wait until pretty much the end of April. So you got a long time. This is not an earnings play. This is a much longer term play than that. But that said, Mr. Rock Lobster, Nokia obviously lighting up the tape today, including somebody taking a firm interest in some June 10s. What say you, sir?
Are we really talking about Nokia?
Yes, we are. How exciting is that? Everything old is new again, sir.
I mean, I'm still trying to figure out. I'm still trying to figure out when does Microsoft still own it? I can't quite figure out what the.
That's right. They had those phones they were making for a while. Yes.
Do you remember literally the ugliest, dumbest phones that nobody ever wanted to buy at all?
Right up there with the brown Zune. Microsoft's history of consumer hardware, not the best.
Yeah. But there is something here to all things connectivity. Anything that could be remotely useful to AI data centers, cloud infrastructure, backend, fiber optic cable, glass, who knows, right? Isn't that stock LITE? It's up like 600% or something in a year. So maybe, just maybe, Nokia really is not, it's, as I recall, it's not really a headset company anymore. It's like a software backend type of company now. So maybe, just maybe, they think Nokia could be a beneficiary of all this. So I don't think it's an unreasonable purchase. They're buying a lot of time. I think it's a decent alternative to stock, I would say. It's not, it's not that far away. I'm going to say it could happen. It could happen. So, but again, Nokia they make things, and it is possible there is some kind of tangential, cloud AI thing there that somebody looks like buying. But it looks like they're just buying some calls and seeing what happens.
Speaking of buying some calls and seeing what happens, let's go out to one of the Rock Lobster's favorite names. He and I used to joke about this a while ago on our Options Oddities program. I haven't talked about it in a little bit. This is the RealReal, ticker symbol REAL. We've joked about this before. It's kind of an online pawn shop, effectively, but for quote-unquote luxury goods. out there, trading $11.93, off 34 cents today. On the year, though, it's looking pretty good. They're up about almost $6 or almost 100%, about 92% over the past year, even though they did get as high as about 17 and a third right as the year started. Like first couple of weeks of January, they hit that level. So year to date, they're actually selling off a wee bit out there. But going back a full calendar year, they're still looking pretty good. But obviously coming under some pressure of late. But somebody, Mr. Rock Lobster, today might think that's overdone. They came in this morning and they said, May 12 halves, how are they? And they got, looks like $1.05 at $1.30. They said, done, I will pay $1.30, 2,332 times. And then they came back in a few minutes later and said, how are they now? And they got $1.15 at $1.35. I said, I will pay $1.35, 2,873 times. Then they came back in with the dreaded, how are they now, a third time. And this time the market makers weren't playing. They said, okay, we're a $1.30 bid at where we just sold them a few minutes ago. Offered at $1.50. What do you want to do now? And they said, okay, we'll pay $1.37 for the balance, 2,465 times. So obviously north of 8,000 of these 12 halves going up heading into the start of the show. Maybe more have traded since then. Obviously, Mr. Rock Lobster, maybe somebody thinking this recent little downturn in the RealReal is perhaps, dare I say it, not real, sir. What do you think?
It's almost too good. The way that you just get these ticker symbols that give you such glee on a weekly basis. It's like the gift that keeps on giving.
A man should enjoy his work, is all I'm saying.
He toils in happiness when his soul and heart is full. On this one, I like I could feel the visceral how now on this one.
Those prints make the hairs on the back of my neck stand up a little bit.
Yes, and all the feelings that came with it, the sad feelings of impending doom, and the tales of sadness and woe that came from selling too many calls with enthusiasm, only to have them go in your face. So I believe this is a similar paper. Resale goods, blah blah blah. Luxury items. Maybe somebody thinks there's some sort of resurgence in this market. Could happen. But I think this is just good old call buyers, reasonable call prices, not crazy prices. The little tight though on expiration, so maybe they're looking for some kind of surprise news.
It's never a surprise on the Monday show, though, listeners, because we always know we're getting a strategy block.
It's time to dispense options, wit, wisdom, and education. It's time for the Strategy Block.
All right, Mr. Uncle Mike, have at it, sir. What was catching your eye out there in the world of strategy today?
Well, I want to talk today about the strategy of delta weighting with a covered call. So let's say that you want to trade a covered call and you have 200 shares and you're slightly bullish on it. Initially, the thought would be to sell 2 out of the money calls against the 200 shares of stock with which you own. However, let's say that all of a sudden you are concerned that, well, maybe the stock is going to go a lot higher, but if it stays the same, I still want the premium. I don't know what to do. Well, here's something that you can do. Instead of selling 2 out of the money calls against the 200 shares of stock that you own, one thing with which to think about would be to sell 1 at the money call against 100 shares of stock. Now, by doing that, let's say that selling the at the money call can get you the same dollar amount of premium than you would have gotten had you sold the 2 out of the money calls. What happens if the stock goes up, down, or stays the same? If you're getting the same premium, if the stock stays the same or goes lower, then it's a wash for you. You'll still get the same amount of premium. What you're trading out is if the stock goes significantly higher, then you will get all of the upside on those 100 shares of stock that you left uncovered. That can be a benefit for you. That's the trade out. And of course, you'll get no upside on the stock that you did have covered. Now, the disadvantage to doing that would be if the stock goes up slightly, you'll get upside on the uncovered shares, but you'll get no upside on the covered shares. So, something to think about if you don't want to cover up all your shares, and maybe you're slightly bullish on the stock, but you're not necessarily bullish enough to leave the stock uncovered. Something to think about, instead of selling multiple out of the money calls, you may want to consider taking a look at selling one at the money call. Now, of course, this can apply on multiple hundreds of shares, whatever way you want to slice it, but that is a strategy with which to consider. And that is the strategy block for the first time in the month of March, in like a lion, out like a lamb.
All right, listeners, and now it's time for us to go on into Around the Block.
It's time to tell you what we'll be watching on our trading screens until the next episode. It's time for Around the Block.
All right, listeners, let's go on into Around the Block. Tell you what we're keeping an eye on until our next episode on Thursday. I know Trump was speaking as we were doing the show. Looks like the market's teetering a little bit into the red again, if ever so slightly off, about 0.1% now in the S&P. NASDAQ still up 0.2%. The Dow off about 0.25%. VIX cash hanging out right around 21.25. So apparently not that dissimilar from where we were to start the show. Nothing earth-shaking apparently in those remarks, at least for right now. But of course, when we have an open conflict like this, the news could break at any moment. And that's certainly what a lot of market watchers are keeping an eye out for. Mr. Rock Lobster, what are you keeping an eye out for throughout the rest of the week, sir?
Well, I believe we have this dust up in the Middle East. So
is something
you're monitoring that,
overseas?
but the easiest way to monitor it is just like Tusa said, watch the SPY, SPY. If it goes up, the news is okay. If it goes down, the news is not okay. And of course, we all hope that the news goes okay and there is a speedy resolution. As far as the rest, NVIDIA earnings were out, did not move the needle. So at this point, I believe the market could use some good news, something good, something positive. You know, if oil prices spike, I don't see how that could be inflationary. I don't see how treasury bonds are going south, or bond yields are going down anytime soon. So I have to say, it's kind of one of those things where I'm just kind of waiting to see what the market does. I don't have a lot of, I will be in Palm Beach with our students at the end of the week. So this is one where I'm kind of, I don't really have a lot on, so I'm just going to watch. I'm going to watch the movie play, as it were.
Judging by how they're annihilating my short UVIX calls to the upside right now, nobody cares, Mr. Rock. No one's bidding up anything out there in the world of vol. Mr. Uncle Mike, what are you keeping an eye on for the rest of this week outside of the obvious, sir?
I think the other thing we need to keep an eye on is 68.45 in the SPX. That's still, even with the huge conflict in Iran, we are still holding tight to that magnet. It seems like we are either positive on the year or negative on the year almost every day these days, and continuing to watch 68.45 in the SPX, the opening price of the year.
And that music means we are done, at least for this show. Don't worry, more to come today. There's a lot going on in a variety of other markets. Crypto taking the news over the weekend fairly well. Strong rally in a lot of the major crypto assets out there. We'll break down all that action and a lot of the recent volatility we've seen out there coming up on the crypto rundown in a little bit. I'll be joined by our good buddy, Mr. Bill, so stay tuned for that. And Mr. Rock Lobster, folks want to stay tuned to all of your various goodies. Where should they go? What should they do, sir?
Yeah, go to optionpit.com. You could actually purchase a live stream of our event in Florida, if you wish, at a very reasonable price. Go to optionpit.com.
Yeah, what is this event? Give us a quick hit. What is this thing?
Yeah, we're getting together with all our students. We are there to trade, learn, and press the flesh with all our people. So it's in Palm Beach. The event is already kind of sold out, but you can live stream in if you want, get a link for it and all that.
Palm Beach, no more Chicago in March. You're going to warmer climes, sir?
At least for this year. Well,
check them out over there optionpit.com if you too want to stream all the fun. And Mr. Uncle Mike, where should folks go if they want more Uncle Mike goodness in their lives, sir?
Go to stcharleswealth.com. Book an appointment with me. Would love to have a conversation with any of our listeners. If you are looking for a financial advisor who looks for opportunity in the option space instead of telling the whole world it's too risky.
Is it too risky? I guess we will find out. Or just hit him up. He'll tell you. stcharleswealth.com is the place to go to learn more. And of course, check out our friends over there at Tasty Trade. tastytrade.com/podcast, the place to go to kick the tires and light the fires. Back again in a little bit, talking all things crypto. Back again after that to break down what started out as a wild day in the markets. Will it end with a whimper? Or will it go roaring out into the ether? We'll find out coming up after the closing bell on the Hot Options Report. Back again tomorrow, of course, with our good buddy, Mr. Kevin Green, for all of you pro folks. He's tackling all your questions. He likes to talk crude, so I got a feeling we'll be talking some crude on the Pro Q&A tomorrow, so make sure you're checking that out. TheOptionsInsider.com/pro. If you're hanging out in the Pro now, start sending those questions in. Should be a fun time. Crude, nat gas, probably some silver. Who knows? Maybe some equities. Why not? As well as some vol and everything else. Probably going to make it onto that session. Should be a good time. We got OBC coming up. I believe a doubleheader on Wednesday. Another fun thing for all you pro folks to get live. And then we're back again on Thursday, Flowmaster in hand. Another episode of the Option Block. Stay safe out there, everybody.
Old trading walks into a bar. New trading raises it. That's Tasty Trade. Keep focused with news feeds that matter. See opportunity differently in analysis mode. Chart your heart out with over 300 indicators. Plus, you can get low pricing, lots of education, and a support team that really gets how traders trade. It's no wonder Investopedia named Tasty Trade the best broker for options in 2024. Genius loves company. Go to tastytrade.com/podcasts and see for yourself. Tasty Trade Incorporated is a registered broker-dealer and member of FINRA, NFA, and SIPC.
You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play.